back. This is part two. We're just gonna go right into it. Just gonna finish up with what the Shah was saying and stuff. I think it'd be actually pretty important just to finish getting this guy's point of view and everything. See what else we have in store.
The people have spoken. They have their trust in
Oh, they
me,
definitely have
and
spoken.
I stepped in at their request.
I think they've done more than speak.
Them with that process. I'm committed to that, and I will do everything that I can to ensure that we end up with a democratic alternative in Iran.
Great.
So how
Sounds
long do you
awesome.
expect the transition to take?
Probably
We have
3
to try
years.
to do it as soon as possible. Realistically
Why is it
speaking,
3
it
years?
could take a couple of years because a lot of things needs to happen, and people need to be able to organize themselves.
It's realistic. I mean, you gotta be real. It's not gonna happen over 6 months, bro. Like, that's how it is.
Structures and everything.
3 days, yeah.
So it's a process that shouldn't take longer than that, and it all depends on how successful we are in implementing the immediate short-term needs that will stabilize the country. All of that will have an impact on how quickly we can address that issue and bring the transition period to a minimum amount of time possible.
The Trump administration a week ago went into Venezuela and extracted the leader there.
Dude, we didn't extract them, bro. We didn't. What are you talking about? We didn't extract that motherfucker. Dude, we yoinked him right out of his fucking bed, bro. We took that motherfucker right out that palace, My man was taunting us and shit, calling us cowards, He was like, "Oh, come get me, dude." That's exactly what we did, dude. We came and got you, bro, like fucking groceries.
Extracted. I love that.
Fucking motherfucking Maduro, dude. He thought we were playing around with him.
Ass.
Crazy.
We sent in the fucking space marines in there, and we just kidnapped him. That's it. Got yoinked. Yeah.
Maduro, and
Gotcha,
do you
bitch.
believe that incident galvanized the people in Iran?
Probably helped a
Oh,
little bit, but it's
100%,
already happened.
yeah. Probably
Every
definitely
time
inspired them
countries are
to take back
liberated
what was
anywhere
theirs.
in the world, it's a positive message of encouragement to other nations that
it's
are
like if-
still gripping up with
Because at the end of the day, it's like, oh, if they could do it, then we could definitely do it.
unwanted systems and regimes. It's a message of solidarity across the world. People were empowered when they saw the success of Nelson Mandela in South Africa or the success of Lech Walesa in Poland and so on and
It's
so
like,
forth.
we
And in
also
this
want to be
case, our
free.
Venezuelan
Like,
friends
they're free.
who
Why
have
can't
the
we be
same
free type
optic
shit?
and vision of a tomorrow liberated Iran, because unlike the connection of Caracas, Tehran under these two regimes, they can understand that democratic nations will be the best partners possible. I'm happy for the Venezuelan
100%,
people. I think
100%.
the Iranian people get encouraged by that, and that's why I think the commitment to help the Iranian people in their liberation.
That's also another pretty crazy thing to even think about, that is that the Iranians and the Venezuelans both, like, well, at least if the Iranians succeed, then that would be, two countries that fought against their dictatorship rule and took their shit back within literally the same week type shit. Like, that's fucking wild.
It's not just, as I said, for the best interest of the Iranian people, but it is also in the best interest of the world, and particularly the United States of America.
And would you be willing to actually run in a potential election? I mean, you just said you were a fighter pilot. You were trained in the United States. Are you willing to take off the
hell
uniform
yeah.
after
Nobody
a
likes
transition and say,
democracy.
yes, I am going to run in an election, and we will see who the people decide is their next leader?
I think he said he would, right?
As I said, I'm here to lead, but the choice is that of the people. My job right
The
now
choice is
to make
yours.
sure that we achieve that transition.
That's good.
That as an honest arbiter, I'm a unifying force. That's why they're
Said, "I
calling
like
my
you,
name, because
and
they
I
have their
want
trust
you."
in me.
He wants you,
It's a
Tom.
huge responsibility that I intend to carry out to the best.
Somebody says, I'm not gonna lie, I got super jealous of Venezuela when they kidnapped Maduro as a Canadian.
As a Canadian.
As a Canadian, wow.
As a Canadian, my
So
man
why
was
we
jealous that his
Your
country
Highness,
gonna do something like
there's
shit
an
like that.
issue about the Chinese
bad.
Communist Party as part of this story
Damn,
as well. The Chinese
My man's
finalized a
itching
deal
for that
back in
burger. He's
2021
itching to become
acquire
American.
ports
Them bald
in
eagles
Iran.
soaring behind
boy.
him.
Are there plans to try to separate from the Chinese Communist Party? How do you see that playing out?
I think they should honor a lot of the deals with the Chinese. That way it doesn't fuck up the relations and China can still trade with Iran and it doesn't fuck up their economy anymore. I think they
That's
should.
true. They've had enough things fucking up their economy.
No,
for one
Maria,
day.
this regime, out of weakness,
No, I mean, no. It sounds good to say no, but it's logistically probably an issue.
Have offered far too many concessions, whether to Russia or to China. We don't believe that the future of Iran has to be antagonistic to Russian or Chinese interests. We just don't want to have unfair, imposed, imbalanced arrangements. Most of these arrangements have been unfair and balanced, and it's basically devoiding our country in our national interests. So long as we can defend our national interests, we are prepared to deal with any bloc so long as it's based on fair trade. And I think this is an element that will obviously be an issue of discussion in parliament and future governments in Iran as we determine our foreign policy and relationship with the whole world.
So you think that could be part of the conversation, trying to get the CCP out
Except
of
things
owning
never
those
go
ports?
according to plan.
It depends.
As I said, this is something that has to be decided once we have a functioning democratic government. In the meantime, we have to be able to also protect the best interests of our nation, and that's why we should have an open mind as to how to deal with that.
Well, everything this guy's saying makes total sense.
Further confrontation with anyone.
Yeah, because he was the rightful ruler, dude. Obviously, he's gonna know what he's talking about.
Pragmatic and objective analysis.
He knows how to actually,
and see what's best.
rule his
Hopefully,
people.
we can have, based on mutual interest, a different arrangement
That's why the
than the one
country
that
was
we currently
flourishing
have,
under as a
that
rule.
is totally lopsided
For the most
and
part.
undermines Iran's national interest. That we cannot.
Yeah, of course, right? And like, yeah, it's like I would be okay with like, I think this is probably like, I don't know, but like, it seems like cutting off all relations with the countries that they were already doing business with will probably do more harm than good. And you probably should transition and kind of taper it off. I mean, that way it doesn't just like, it's like a fucking 100 to 0. You're getting all this money and then the money stops. Well, what the fuck, right? Trump used to say he stopped wars and fixed conflicts. Do you think his recent actions would go against that? I don't think so. I think that there are destabilizing forces that cause wars and cause conflicts. And sometimes you have to take an aggressive action to take defensive action proactively in the future. So basically, you're pretty much cutting off a problem before the problem gets worse or before the problem continues to just cause more problems.
Yeah.
Not stand for, and I will not.
It's
stand
like
for.
most things don't exist in a vacuum.
This story is so
You're not
enormous
thinking about those things
to
right now?
actually
Yeah.
think about the idea of potential freedom and a free Iran. I don't see a lot of the international media covering it, like the BBC, for example. What is your take on the media's role here?
I'm going to look it up with the BBC.
Look, mainstream media is entirely missing the actual narrative and us that the people of Iran have. And again,
That's exactly what I've been saying for like the longest time, dude. Like they won't cover anything that they actually need to cover, dude. They only cover what fits their narrative. And they're never gonna do what actually needs to be done.
and when you have absence of internet and the feedback from Iran, it is very difficult
why
for
you
the
gotta
world
do it
to
yourself.
understand really what's happening. I hope that the media ultimately feel responsible in giving fair coverage to the facts on the ground in Iran, rather than to offer some unfounded opinions or biased interpretation of what's happening. But regardless of
But I couldn't bring her in the house because I remembered I had white drawers on.
whether
And I
the
know
media
she's
coverage
trying to
exists or
fuck.
not,
It's going to happen.
we know what we need to do as a
What,
nation.
dude? You want some
But I
tidy
think,
whities? I know Darnell be wearing
the
them
world
tidy
that
whities,
has
dude.
been in awe of the
This nigga
courage and
dirty,
determination
God,
of
I
our
ain't trying to see
compatriots
that.
have bypassed
Probably got
mainstream
some
media.
booty
They
fruits.
do hear from the Iranian
yeah.
people. I just hope that they do their professional job and this time really we have accurate accounting of what's really happening and let the people judge on their own as opposed
Well,
to
that's never going to happen. It's actually crazy how bad media is now. And I think that what's happened is that somewhere down the line, the media has decided that it's no longer their job to report the news. It's their job to tell you the news. And so instead of telling you like basically what's happening, they're telling you like their version of what they think about what's happening. And I think that's been a very big, paradigm shift for them.
push an opinion.
MSM's propaganda. Yeah, it's
100%.
total propaganda.
And Your Highness,
Absolutely.
before you go, I want to get
Yes.
your take on these threats from the Iranian Khomeini regime, saying that they will target U.S. military bases in the Middle East should the Trump administration get
Dude, you don't want to be making threats right now. Like you're in the last position to be making threats to anybody, especially the United States. Hey, what are you talking about? You're not attacking no U.S. bases, dude. Because the moment you even touch any U.S. property or fucking, you know, any U.S. fucking people on that soil, dude, it's crypto for you. Now you just gave us an actual reason to delete you off the fucking face of the planet, dude. You do not want the smoke, man. I'm telling you, why do you guys keep fucking poking, you know, Donnie J, dude? It's like you want him to fucking end you.
Involved here. Are you expecting the administration, do you want to see the administration go into Iran and take out Khomeini?
Western media
and
is so
what about
corrupt,
the
yeah.
threats that they will hit back at our military
gotta do
installations
shit.
in the Middle East?
Look, the people of Iran have responded and reacted positively to a promise of intervention by the president and his administration.
starts shooting
But if the
everybody, yeah.
regime turns their gun and continue massacring its own people, that will not remain unanswered. That's the ask on the ground.
Yes,
we
sir.
need to
Yeah, I
make
think that makes
sure that
sense.
this time the Iranian people are successful.
I keep
yeah,
seeing
that's
people
good.
saying that supporting Iran revolution is
God.
pro-Israel, and I'm so confused. It is pro-Israel.
Yeah, this is how brain dead these fucking idiots are. This motherfucker said supporting Iran is pro-Israel. You know how brainwashed you have to be to fucking say that, dude? To even think like that? How the fuck would... Oh my god. Oh my god, dude.
What happened, Twin? What happened?
Like, these motherfuckers are really now starting to say that supporting Iran is now pro-Israel. Oh man, dude, you can't make it out, dude.
Sometimes you find yourself in a position where people who you don't like have the same shared goals as you.
The doggy dog world out there.
That's the way the real world works. It's not
If I
like the
bring
bad
on the
guys
USA,
only want bad
I'm just
things and the
reading
good
the
guys
chat,
only
and,
want good things.
Oh my god. Oh man, dude.
Obviously.
That kind of assistance will go a
Thank
long
God
way
I'm not famous,
in
chat.
making
I
the
don't have
Iranian
to
people
deal with these
prevail
brain
in
dead
this war
people
that
in
we
my
have
chat.
against this regime, and we need to cut the
You mean Hitler
stakes
drank
head
water?
off
Yeah.
for good, so it can no longer be a threat to Iranian interest, to American interest, to regional interest, and the only solution is to make sure that this regime goes down for good, and the Iranian people
100%.
can liberate themselves, because they are, contrary to this regime, that is a sworn enemy of America. We
Yes.
Iranians are a
Yes,
friend to
I'm
America.
scratching my
We proved it
balls.
before, and we'll prove it again.
Your Highness, when was the last time you were in Iran?
We didn't like Russia, but they went after Hitler. Yeah, exactly. And like that's the thing is that like for example, like does that mean going
It's
after Hitler
true.
is bad because like you know the Soviets were there? Like the Soviets were also against Hitler? No, of course not. So it's a very weird perspective that people have where it's like you can never be on the same side as
Yeah, and this is what I was saying in my last video. Even if assuming we were on the same side and you know we did have common interests, which we kind of do, you still can't just expect them to just, you know, be taught to hate their whole lives and be taught to hate the West and hate us and everything we stand for, and then, you know, just all that magically just goes away. Like, nah, dude, you gotta give them time to let their world collapse, you know, realize that everything that they, you know, that they were being taught was a fucking lie. And you're literally just fighting yourselves at this point. You're just fighting air. You're just punching air at this point. You know? Like, nobody wants to fight you, little bro. Nobody wants to, you know, tell you what to do or none of that, dude. That's just, you know, the people there in charge that do that. Like over here, for the most part, you're chilling, dude. You can wear whatever you want. You could eat whatever you want. You could do whatever you want. You could be wherever you want for the most part, with whoever, whenever, you know, however.
something that you disagree with. And this is kind of what I was saying before about how this like emotion-based politics that people have now is like, it's just, it's so terrible.
It was July of 1978. So it's been a long
1978.
time.
Oh, wow.
Your Highness, it's wonderful to have
shit.
you this
But
morning.
I'll be there soon.
Yes, we will be watching.
July
Thank
of
you, sir.
1978, that was the last time he was in Israel. That's crazy.
Your Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi. We'll be right back.
Can
Hey,
you can
That's
you
pretty
believe
sad,
that
then.
we're actually potentially going to watch the return of the Prince of Persia?
We're gonna watch
That's
the
pretty
Return of the Prince
fucking
of
crazy,
Persia.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Chad, I don't know if you saw that, but the reason he's saying that is because there's like this thing right now, where Iranians, I'm pretty sure they want to change the name of Iran back to Persia, because it sounds better. Honestly, like Loki does, dude. Like I'd rather, you know, the royal family of Persia, the Prince of Persia, you know, than the royal family of Iran, or the, you know, whatever, the Shah of Iran, whatever the fuck it is, dude. Like Iran is ugly and it sounds so like militant. Like Persia is like nice, subtle, calm. You know, it's calm, mate. It's calm. You know, it's kind of almost elegant in a way.
There's the video
Kind
I
of
just watched
iconic.
right there. And we
Persia.
cover Agartha politics, maybe,
It just,
right?
you know,
Yeah,
it sounds like a pearl. Like the Persia pearl, or the Persian pearl, or something, you know?
can you imagine? That's actually insane, isn't it? Yeah, holy fuck, it's fucking awesome. Yeah, it is. It's
Like
really
an
crazy.
exquisite
So
animal.
let me look at the BBC and let's see what they're covering and what they're talking about, okay? So BBC News. All right, so let's pull it up. Okay, and here we go. Let's look at it. And so they made one video about it 10 hours ago after all of the protests. There's 2 videos about this. I feel like they've done a pretty good amount covering the Iran protests. But before 3 days ago, there's only one there. I'm looking to see, here's what I'm really looking for, is the increased coverage now a result of people calling them out, or is it just like a confirmation bias? Because how many days have these protests been going on for? I would say like 10 days, basically, right?
Yeah, probably we're getting there.
Yeah, like 15 days. They got called 14 days. Okay, it's longer than that. So it seems like they've made like 2 or 3 videos of this, but not a real, a massive amount of them. I don't know, guys. I feel like it's kind of, they push an agenda. They're fake. Well, let me see if they actually are fake or not. Let's see what they're saying here. Iran protests, so...
Hello, I'm Nikki Schiller. We start with the latest from Iran because in the last hour, the country's parliament speaker has warned that any attack by the United States over the country's ongoing...
Let's watch this until we hear something that's bullshit.
...protests would lead to Tehran striking back against Israel and regional US bases as what he called legitimate targets. These are some of the pictures that state TV showed as Parliament debated what to do. Now, US media is reporting that President Trump has been briefed on new options for military strikes against Iran in response to the killing of protesters. Now, inside Iran, hundreds of people have been reportedly killed or wounded by Iran's security forces.
People say it's thousands.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's worth stopping it right there.
Thousands,
let's go a little bit longer.
Over the past 3 days, as details of the
like BBC is reporting that like it's a couple of hundred that have been getting killed in Iran because of the protests. But dude, what are you talking about, bro? You're only saying that because that's what's been reported because of the fucking blackouts, dude. Why the fuck do you think the blackouts even happened, dude? So they could fucking massacre mad people, you know, in the shadow of the non so they can massacre the people, you know, in the shadow of the night, and then not have to deal with the consequences of Donald J. Trump.
Protesters emerge despite an internet blackout. The unrest is causing major issues for Iran's medical system.
Yeah, Chad, that's funny that he played that, because look at that. We're literally watching mad people rallied up, protesting, they're all cheering. Not one Allah Akbar, dude. Not one. This was exactly my point in the original, in my first part video. Not one Allah Akbar, dude. Not a single one.
Staff at 3 hospitals
people are tired of this
BBC
nonsense.
Their facilities are overwhelmed with dead or injured patients.
People are tired of all the hate, dude. They just want to chill.
Verified some 70
do what they want.
bodies were brought to just one hospital on Friday. The protests began in late December, sparked by Iran's worsening economic situation. They've now spread across the country.
This seems to be fine so far. White House tweet?
News correspondent Joe Inwood.
Let me see it.
Are we seeing unrest turn into revolution?
Revolution.
These protests, which began over rising prices, have spread right across
There's not a lot
Iran.
going on.
This footage is from the city of Mashhad in Iran's northeast. We don't know exactly when it was filmed, but it is
a Call of
recent.
Duty mission.
And this was the capital, Tehran, last night. Huge crowds took to the streets, braving the bitter cold and threats of state violence. The death toll is rising.
It seems...
In just a single hospital, BBC Persian verified 70 bodies on one night.
It seems like they're reporting on this accurately. Nothing about the Islamic regime so far, just economic reasons. That's a really good catch, man. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Good one. Yeah.
The morgue was at...
Let's see if they... Actually, you know what? Let's watch this and see if they call it the Islamic regime at all. If they connect it to the religion at all. That's a great point.
Capacity. Listen to the sound and how they're hitting people, this man says.
No, we got to see this.
People. They run for their lives as security forces open fire. There are reports of power cuts in the capital. We know for sure that the internet and phones have been blocked. But people want their voices heard.
100%.
Do you actually want to see Israel intervene? I don't want to see any intervention unless it's necessary.
Yeah.
I've said that before. And I don't have the knowledge to know whether it's necessary or not. So I would that's my outlook on it, like philosophy wise.
Nah, I feel like people are getting massacred and shit, dude, just for
now, because this time everyone is united by concern for their livelihoods,
What about humanitarian
their
aid?
income,
Sure.
and their future.
Totally
This is why
supported.
they have come out together with one voice to bring this to an outcome.
This is the man the protesters want to see removed from power. Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has called the protesters vandals.
now we're
Not at all.
now
They're not
they're
bringing up it's the
vandals.
Islamic regime at all.
Now they're vandals, chat.
Here, a building burns in the city of Yazd. But it's not random.
Not a single
This
thing.
site was linked
You know what,
to a
matter of
state
fact, fuck
foundation.
it, dude.
Why
And-
If they want to call you guys fucking vandals, then fuck it, dude. That just makes you more like Luffy, you know? That just makes you more like Luffy than, you know, anybody else right now. Because guess what, chat? Joy Boy was the original fucking pirate, dude. That was the first ever pirate. Alright? And he stood for something. Alright? So don't let any of these, you know, pussy wag bomba clat chicken nugget, you know, motherfuckers tell you different.
Old
accused
man,
of
yeah.
corruption. Iran's
These,
prosecutor
you know,
general
diddler booty
announced that any
Jacksoners.
protesters could be charged as enemies of God and face the death
I wonder if they're going to bring up the fact that they're burning down the mosques.
penalty.
Yeah, and I
But
saw
as
some
the
report that
regime's
like
response
multiple
hardens,
mosques are
they will
closing
know
too.
the threats they face are not only internal.
We will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts.
President Trump has repeatedly threatened military strikes if protesters are killed, and last night posted on social media that Iran is looking at freedom, perhaps like never before. The USA stands ready to help. These protests present a threat to the regime unlike anything seen in
100%.
It's lie by omission. Yep, exactly.
years. Much of the youthful population of this country seem to have decided
It's lie by omission.
Said regime, but not Islamic regime. Yep. He calls them vandals, but say they can be charged as enemies of God. What the fuck? Yep.
But the government here was formed in revolution. If it ends the same way,
The government here was formed in revolution.
What?
it could come at a heavy price. Joe Inwood, BBC News.
What does that even mean?
Retired Army General David Petraeus, who was also the former CIA.
I mean, it's true, but I think that it's like an oversimplification. Like not adding in the religious component, I think is a deliberate misunderstanding.
Director and who led Allied
Yeah, what kind of revolution was it?
forces in Iraq during the 2007 surge, before later commanding US forces in Afghanistan, told us what the US can do without getting boots on the ground in Iran.
Well, there are numerous options. You can all the way from diplomatic and informational, even just getting Starlink dishes in on the ground would help them communicate with each other and with the outside world. There can be economic sanctions of various types against individuals, against Iran's ability to export oil. There's humanitarian options. And then, of course, there are many military options. And I was also the former commander of U.S. Central Command, which is the greater Middle East. That would be the regional combatant command that undoubtedly has been developing the menus of options for the president and others to consider. There can certainly be strikes on the headquarters of the security force organizations that are violently putting down these protests, these demonstrations that have been killing the people in very substantial numbers.
They've been like murdering
you
people.
Could go after the missile capability that they have, which of course was heavily damaged during the Israeli strikes against Iran, and which concluded with a U.S. substantial bombing as well. They've been trying to reconstitute those missile arsenals that would be useful. It could prevent some of the retaliation that might be of a concern. Again, a number of different activities that wouldn't require boots on the ground, that many of which could even be done with unmanned systems, cruise missiles, and the like.
Okay. David Petraeus. Well,
obviously.
Lassie is from BBC Persian and gave us this update on the latest from inside Iran.
Despite this digital blackout, we have images and we have eyewitnesses both in the medical staff community and protesters across the cities that these protests have been going on.
Yeah, dude, they want their shit back.
Is one of extreme.
They want
horror.
This guy out of there.
Bodies piling up.
And they want this guy in.
Outside in the outskirts of Tehran and other cities, in the hospitals, and the numbers are growing, and the hospital staff are overwhelmed. The fact that the communication has been cut to this in the severe manner that has happened in the last 60 hours almost.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people haven't been able to contact their family or friends in Iran for like 2 or 3 days now.
Yeah.
It means even doctors can't reach other doctors to ask for them to show up at the hospital because their needs is so severe. So the numbers, obviously we don't have an exact, but hundreds have been killed or injured, brought into these hospitals, and most of them with live ammunition. There's images of families trying
Not once have they said that it's Islamic or anything like that. They haven't brought up the fact that the Iranians are burning mosques. They haven't brought up the fact that it's an Islamic revolution that put this government in power. And they haven't brought up that...
You see? He's saying exactly what I was saying, dude. Why do you think they haven't brought up the fact that they're revolting because of the Islamic revolution? They just keep saying that they're rioting and blah, 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 but they don't say why. Because if they do, then everything that these fucking commie fucks is doing over here will fall apart. Immediately.
Element at all.
Identify the bodies of their loved ones. There are reports that the government doesn't even allow them to bury them.
What the fuck?
It's a horrific scene on one side. The other is one of a jaw-dropping bravery, because despite the digital blackout and despite these
they're still doing stuff,
shootings and killings of protesters, there are still ongoing protests that have been happening as late as a few hours ago in Tehran and other cities, which indicate that these protesters, knowing the risk that it carries, which clearly includes their lives, are still coming out, and the government has yet to manage to crack down fully and end these protests.
Are the protesters hoping that President Trump will get involved?
I think some of them definitely are.
To gauge everybody's
I would assume
opinion.
that.
Iran is not a monolith, and people have very different opinions about what should happen. Obviously, there is wide agreement and a larger scale protest is a sign of it that they want this regime gone. And how it should be gone, obviously, they've taken the matter to their own hands and risking their lives by coming out. But there are obviously many who would welcome some sort of a foreign assistant being in a form.
Let me pause this and kind of explain the reason why I'm like kind of trying to focus on the idea that they're not bringing up the Islamic regime. The reason why is that I think that the BBC is intellectually and ideologically captured by a group of people that want to not anger the people inside of Europe and specifically inside of Britain, that want to, you know, they don't want to say anything that might make the extremist Muslims in their country angry. Like, I don't have a problem with a Muslim government or something like that, but the reality is that their reporting is being controlled and decided by them being afraid of retaliation or a negative response from the Islamic potential terrorists in their own country. This is inside of Europe. And so this is the reason why I'm watching this, in order to try to find out like whether they're going to say it or not, is to see if they're going to talk about it or if they're not going to talk about it. Do you see that? That's my point, right? And so we do, or we're not an Islamic. Yeah, we're not Islamic countries. Yeah, I definitely think so. U.S. mainstream media isn't reporting on it because they don't want to show U.S. protesters what an actual fascist regime would do to them. Yeah, of course. It's pretty sure BBC does not call the Vatican a Christian state either. I don't know if they do or not.
That's what I was saying, because if they actually do show what it's like,
size, but I agree.
their entire thing would fall
apart. You're a bit wrong. The BBC supported Ayatollah 47 years ago. It's not just now. I think it's been going on for a while. Yeah. You just said the regime, and your response is what regime? What the fuck's wrong with you? So I'll explain it, because maybe you're like not a you're not an understander. Yeah. So it's an Islamic regime. It's an oppressive Islamic theocratic regime that kills people based off of their religious rules. Do you understand why I think that it's problematic that they're omitting that information? Do you understand that?
All right, you gonna skip this?
The people does
this
it to you then?
Not
okay. I'm about to say
Starlink giving people more easy access to the internet, all the way to targeting leadership with military intervention. Not everybody agrees that these are productive, especially when it comes to military intervention. Many worry that it will lead to the regime hardening its position even more and possibly hit targets in the Middle East, and this turning into some sort of a massive war, which will then distract from what the protesters want. And some think there is no other way.
No, I don't think there was going to let that happen.
How could they overcome?
Let them start a war just to get out of what needs to be done.
Crackdown by a regime that is armed to the teeth. So the reality of these protests is they know what they don't want, but how do we get to that place varies depending on who you speak to.
Barman, I know it's difficult, but you have covered other protests that have taken in Iran. What do you think will happen next?
It is really the million-dollar question, but it is different from the other protests that I've covered and I've lived through. It is large-scale, it's historic.
Do you not realize Ofcom regulates British news requiring it to be off-partial? No, of course you don't. Let me ask you a question. If it's so impartial, then why did people resign after Trump exposed them for misediting his speech on January 6th?
Ha. Oh man, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, all those people did fucking resign. Cause they're fucking little lying rat piece of shit, fucking worm, you know, commie fuck. You know, they're heathens. They're non-Pentecostals. They're true infidels.
Want to wait for a sec?
Traitors, if you will.
Is there a difference between a leftist and a center person politically? Because it was not impartial? So then it didn't work then, right? So very clearly the regulation doesn't work. Because if it did work, then that wouldn't have happened.
I'm sorry, guys. I almost freaking knocked out right there for a second.
I'm going to ask you a question.
And then, whew,
do you really think that the BBC is impartial?
Oh, an impartial BBC?
Do you really think that?
Hey, yo.
Yes. So you just gave me an example of them being impartial, and then you said that they are oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my fucking God. I just even try at 8 speed.
Brutal, and it has faced perhaps the most brutal.
And that kind of made me want to make a sandwich
in the last 72 hours, and it hasn't died down yet.
That's why they turned off the internet, so they could kill the protesters.
For possibly a different outcome than the previous protests. But does it mean that we'll see a smooth transition to a regime change? Certainly, that's something that nobody would bet on at this point.
Barman Kalbasi from BBC Persian. Well, Dr. Sahar Razavi is the director of the Iranian and Middle Eastern Studies Center at California State University. She gave me her assessment of what's going on inside Iran.
Just as Bahman Kalbasi has shared, this started as a relatively, just as all protests in Iran began, it began with a spark that turned into large-scale demands for a complete transformation of the system. The last time there was an internet blackout of this scale during the protests was during Bloody Aban in 2019, and by the time the internet turned back
Bloody Aban, dude, that shit sounds like some, like the next chapter in Tokyo Revengers, dude, like the next arc. Bloody Aban, like Bloody Halloween.
Estimates range from the very low end 200 something to the more likely end at around 1,500, according to a Reuters report, had been killed by the government. So when we see internet blackouts, we become very concerned, even in spite of the fact that
See, this is, again, like it's like what I've said before, follow incentives. Very obviously, the blackouts are going to be, they turn off the internet and then they kill everybody. Duh, obviously.
Our images and reports coming out from Iran, from on the ground.
But technology is better now than it was even in 2019.
That this is, it may have begun as a slightly smaller, smaller scale protest than the Woman Life Freedom movement in 2022, but it has quickly ballooned out to bring in more and more sectors of society, including labor unions, students, people in rural and urban areas, sectors of society that have typically not been as engaged in protests. The economic crisis was the spark this time, but it is always sparked by something, and then it balloons out to a bigger scale protest.
You're in the US. President Trump has said that the US stands ready to help.
I don't think anything was a big thing during that war. I don't know about that.
President Trump tends to prefer quick wins and easy optics. So my sense is that he is more hesitant to get involved directly on the ground if he thinks that there will be challenges
and investment,
and it won't be an easy victory.
She's right about that.
At this point, it's entirely possible when the United States and Israel together initiated the 12-day war over the summer. Many of us were surprised because a lot of bluster usually doesn't turn into
I think a lot of people were surprised by that. Whenever Trump just came out and said, yeah, we already bombed the shit out of them. It was done like fucking 2 hours ago.
So, yeah, we already bombed the shit out of them.
I think a lot of people were like, God damn.
That was fast, I was pretty shocked myself.
This time it did, and I think this, right now it may, but at this point I am...
It was a pretty big shock.
I'm reserving judgment to see what's going to happen next from President Trump.
We know the reports say hundreds of people have...
Notice that I didn't mention Reza Pahlavi a single time during the whole coverage, even though millions of protesters are calling out his name. That's true.
Already. What options are open for the government there and the supreme leader if they do want to continue cracking down on these protests?
Nothing
this is
good.
The big question, because what's different now for the government compared to the last round of protests, their last large-scale protests in 2022, is that their regional support structure has completely changed. In the past, they've been relatively freer to crack down so brutally as they always have, because they felt buttressed by their regional alliances, including Bashar al-Assad in Syria, Hamas and Hezbollah.
Oh, he's gone.
These are...
100%.
Even Russia, which is bogged down in now Ukraine.
Yeah, they're fucked.
Its alliances have been significantly weakened, which makes it more difficult for them to engage in large-scale crackdowns without the looming threat of foreign intervention.
Yeah, exactly.
The options, if they continue the crackdown, which is
their standard operating,
I don't think they're going to say it at all.
Uprising, then there is a risk that they are giving the United States and Israel and the U.S.'s regional allies the opportunity and the opening to intervene militarily. If they do not crack down, if they make concessions, if they make conciliatory gestures.
They didn't say it a single time.
Been one or two of. The risk to them is that the protesters see it as a sign that they should keep pushing, which is what happened in 1978. So they are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now.
If they do, you will admit you're retarded? Well, it sure seems like it didn't matter because it didn't happen. Yep, there it is.
Didn't matter because it didn't
nobody's
happen.
saying, and you have somebody saying the BBC is less biased than any of your American slop? Sure, I think that's probably true.
The BBC.
Yeah, wow, they're better than Fox News and CNN. Oh, wow, that's amazing. That's so good. Good job.
I'm not going to speak on Iranians because I'm not Iranian, but I am part of the Free Palestine crowd. So I will tell you why I personally don't align with the mainstream Free Iran Woman Life Freedom movement, and that's because it is rooted in Islamophobic, pro-colonial...
Islamophobic, Yeah, keep spelling that garbage.
Oh boy.
That made up shit.
regime change that doesn't actually serve the interests of the Iranian people.
They sure seem think. Hey,
I mean,
I'm not going to talk about Iranian people. By the way, this isn't going to serve their interests, even though they're out there protesting for it.
Let me put it on the record that just because I'm Muslim doesn't mean that I support the Islamic regime of Iran. Do I?
Nobody said that.
They're one of the few.
You're the one making the video, you fucking
just
goober.
have the backbone to stand up to Israel and America. Yes. Does that mean that I support
the backbone to stand up to Israel and America? You mean like whenever they get bombed and then they don't do anything after that, and then they kill their own people?
Yeah,
it seems like the only thing that they really have the backbone to do is to kill their own civilians.
Yeah, literally.
Iran's really good at killing their own civilians.
Support their oppressive policies, forcing women to wear hijab, sending morality police to beat up those who don't. Absolutely not. Yes, hijab is obligatory in Islam, but not by the force of random men in power. Committing murder...
So...
Oh, man.
So the problem is not the fact that they have to wear a hijab, it's who's telling them to do it?
It's a bigger sin than not wearing hijab, and the Iranian regime have done that, so I'm not going to stand here and say that I support everything they do just because I'm a hijabi Muslim woman. I'm of the standing that Iranians, regardless of where they sit on the political spectrum, should democratically elect their leaders and have the power to choose their representatives. Not Israel, not America, not us.
What are you going on about Israel for?
I think that people like this are intentionally trying to muddy the waters and make the Iranian Revolution seem like it's synonymous with America or Israel.
Yep.
I think that's what they're doing.
They're trying to distract and divert.
This is exactly what I was saying.
Well beyond just, I want the freedom to show my legs and not wear hijab. You don't even have to go that far back in history to
That's
know
how predictable this shit is. I literally made a fucking sandwich. Because I knew exactly what was going to happen.
How do you truly believe that installing a Zionist puppet Shah is going to benefit you in any way?
Zionist puppet Shah. Here we go.
Very same people that crippled your economy in the first place by placing you under decades of sanctions so that
you hear this shit, chat? This is how these people think. Unless it's like, you know, unless it's like a fucking Muslim wearing a Habibi telling them, I mean, wearing a fucking, my bad, wearing a fucking, a hijab and telling them what to do, you know?
Your economy in the first place by placing you under decades of sanctions so that your economy could plunder. Please look at your neighbors.
Well, if the economy was already under sanctions, then why were they sending money to terrorist groups?
Right. Hold on, chat. I just think that's hilarious, dude. Like, what my point was, is to these type of people, these brainwashed people, unless you're literally wearing a hijab or, you know, you're spouting some Islamic crazy rhetoric shit, you're literally a Zionist to them. That's all you'll be, a Zionist. That's how brainwashed they are. You'll be nothing else.
I mean, if the government of Iran really cared about the people there, then why were they not taking the remaining amount of money that they had, and instead of investing it on terrorist groups that destabilized the region, they instead invested it in their own people? Oh, wow.
in Afghanistan and then tell me that American intervention will work out in your best interests. You're literally liking Islamophobic Hasbara propaganda.
Islamophobic.
Oh my God. It's just that people in the West don't care about the Middle East. They care about hating Jews. Oh my God. Hasbara propaganda.
Comments about all we know is hating Jews. Which just further proves my point that your mainstream selective movement doesn't align with actual liberation, but the watered down Western version of it. But then also liking comments about the hate group is an oppressive.
The crowd is an uninformed mass that blindly follows the media. They have no idea, but by screaming Free Palestine, they're supporting another oppressive regime called Hamas. Well, what's she saying about this?
But then also liking comments about the hate group is an oppressive regime. Girl, they're orphans fighting for their right to live on their indigenous land.
The orphans fighting for their right to live on their indigenous land?
What are you talking about? It's not fucking indigenous land if it was given to you, you fucking retard. Oh my God. Oh my God.
By you can't make this shit up. Raping prisoners and then killing their own people who disagree with them? They're terrorists. She's literally running defense for Hamas. Like, you can be against Israel and be against Hamas at the same time. You don't have to pick one or the other.
These people are funny.
In fact, you see them as dangerous for fighting for their freedoms, but can justify it when
fighting for their freedoms. Their freedom what? To rape and kill people? Oh my God.
Iranians are trying to do this.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. You defend terrorists because you're saying that they're defending their freedom? Their freedom to what? Pillage all the first aid supports and all the, UN, care package reliefs and shit that come to help the people, and you steal them all? And then try to sell them back to those poor civilians that don't have anything? Like the very people that those medical supplies and food and all that stuff, the humanitarian aid that's supposed to help them, it gets stolen right from them by these fucking same terrorists, and then it gets sold back to them at higher prices.
Tells me everything
yeah, come on, like shit that's supposed to be free.
Iran is a Muslim country, and like most Muslim countries.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's forced Muslim because the government kills people that aren't. Like, it's just...
This woman is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I just... what's wrong with you? It's just...
First of all, that was a really good sandwich. And second of all, what's wrong with her is that she has these delusional ideals and these delusional fantasies in her mind about how things are because she lives probably in America or just basically anywhere that's not in Iran or a place like Iran, and that's why she can think like that, because she lives a nice, cushioned, comfortable life, dude, where she doesn't have to worry about not wearing a hijab, because if she doesn't, she'll get stoned.
It's complete, total propaganda. She's just going out there and lying.
Yep.
They are not secular. In fact, they use...
No, that's not the only two options. Islamic and secular are not the only two options.
...religion to govern their countries via the Sharia. No, you shouldn't force women to wear hijab or kill them over it, but it's common sense that you can't dress skimpy in a Muslim country. Women...
Why?
Yeah.
I don't even... What's the logic there?
Yeah. Or what? You'll get stoned?
It's just... Oh my God. Another one? Yep, another one.
Life freedom, but when France and Switzerland and Sweden want to pass laws that ban women from wearing niqab or hijab, which essentially strips women of their choice to cover up, it's cricket. So I guess by this logic, we have to overthrow their governments and install puppet leaders, because women still do not have certain freedoms. If I'm going to be real...
Oh, man.
No, because they're not Islamic countries.
Oh,
you don't get to go around and force your ideology everywhere in the world.
This woman is crazy.
In the Western feminist idea
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Liberation and freedom to wanting to walk out naked. No, but
Right.
And how America or Israel just want to use you for their own regional interests. It's fine. You can steal our resources and put a lapdog in power to control us, but at least I can go out showing my legs.
Jesus
what are you going
Christ.
on about?
Yep, there you go. Just a piece of shit. I know, it's nuts. And as a man, I wish this were true here. Yeah, I guess so. That's Muslim extremist world domination coming out. Yeah,
100%.
I mean, I think that really the biggest like mask off for this is
Like, this is what I mean, dude. This is exactly what I'm saying. These are the types of people that be advocating and be barking the most about how, you know, Islam is fucking great and hijabs aren't forced and blah blah blah. Bro, you probably live in like Brooklyn or some shit. Or in like Bronx or Staten Island or Michigan or some shit. You most definitely, indubitably, in fact, most likely live in the United States. And definitely, I know for a fact that you don't live in Iran. Because if you did, you wouldn't be saying this stupid shit.
It's talking about how, you know, the Hamas are...
Matter of fact, you wouldn't be making this stupid shit because you would be at the protests.
Orphans that are fighting
You'd
for
be
their
at the
home.
riots, taking your shit back.
Hamas create orphans.
Yeah,
They create orphans themselves by killing the parents of people that disagree with them inside of Palestine.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's insane. Like, I don't know how I don't know how they just keep finding themselves. How is it that this group of people keeps finding themselves on the side of terrorists? Isn't that weird? How does it happen?
Yeah, I don't know. But well, that was weird. But yeah, guys, honestly, just talking about this crap for so long is starting to make my stomach hurt. But yeah, I'll make sure to well, actually, I already left the link for this video in the last one, so you know, this is just a continuation of that one. But yeah, guys, thanks for sticking around. Hopefully, you know, if you guys did make it to the end, you know, hopefully that'll make you want to spread the word about this and everything. You know, make sure that these people don't get censored and that what's actually important doesn't get, you know, convoluted with all this nonsense and, you know, it doesn't get lost in the fog. You know, make sure that, you know, what the people want actually to get done gets done. You know, if they're asking for help, if they're asking for Donnie J, if they're asking to be free, you know, if they're asking to be able to wear whatever they want, do whatever they want, you know, eat whatever they want, then, you know, that's what they should be able to do, man. But anyways, that's enough of me taking your guys' time. Get the hell out of here and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.